Hello, everybody! It's Fangirl Hell. This is the second episode of our fandom exchange. Last time we did books, super boring. This time, we do movies, which is super not boring. I'm Christy Lee Stewart. I'm awesome. I haven't had a lot of accomplishments in my life, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And as always, my partner is...
Cosmic, lifelong nerd, and aspiring genius.
Okay, so do you have tons of stuff to say about the movie I gave you, or should we start with the one you gave me?
I guess we can start with the one that I gave you. I'll tell why I gave it to you.
Do you know how to pronounce the French title?
Yes.
I'm looking forward to hearing this, because I do not.
Okay, the English title of the movie is Love Songs. The French title is Les Chansons D'amour.
Oh, beautiful.
It was released in 2007. It's a French musical, and I gave Christy this movie because she doesn't really like musicals, and I love musicals. I have fond memories of being 8, 9, 10 years old and staying up till 3 in the morning watching My Fair Lady on the Disney Channel.
Oh my goodness.
You're lucky I didn't give you that one.
Oh my god.
Part of the reason I chose this particular musical is the style of it is different than the typical musical that you would see in the US. I don't know if this is the style of it is something that's indicative of all French musicals or if it's just this movie in particular, but it has, the typical musical, if somebody's walking down the street and they break into song, there's a big dance routine and random strangers are joining into the dance, joining into the song, whereas in Les Chansons D'amour, if somebody's walking down the street singing, they're the only person singing and nobody joins in. It's just this random person walking down the street singing. It's not
But
big production number.
That in and of itself seems very French too, though.
Yeah.
Because at one point in the movie, I'm watching it, and we'll get into what it's about in a second, but I'm watching it, and I'm thinking to myself, and I know that you read my Tumblr, because I kind of live blogged a little bit of it, but I'm watching this guy sadly walk down the street, and I thought, well, this is really French. If somebody said, oh, I watched a French movie last night, your first guess would be, so was it about a sad guy walking? Yeah, that's exactly what the movie was.
But that was one of the reasons I chose this musical in particular, because I know you've said in the past that you don't really care for song and dance numbers.
No, I don't.
It's a musical, but it's not the song and dance type of musical.
Which I appreciate.
You're welcome. So yeah, that's the main reason I chose it, because you don't like musicals, and I wanted to give you a musical that was maybe a bit more accessible to you. So what did you think of it?
I thought it was really good. I think certainly a big part of it is that it was, really complicated story, and it was really sociologically interesting, which I thought that was probably another big reason why you to me. Yeah. Because the movie is about a polyamorous relationship with 2 women and a man. Yeah. And it's split into 3 parts, and at the end of the first part, one of the women dies, and it's the movie's kind of about how everybody gets over her death. Yeah. So I thought it was an interesting concept to even go into the polyamorous relationship and how they worked it out between the 3 of them and how there was conflict there, but also how, they each kind of nourish each other's needs from it. Yeah. But that became just the starting off point from what the story was about, whereas most people would have just stuck with that storyline, and it seemed to make it more significant in their relationship, because it wasn't just, look how odd this relationship was. It was really about, look what happens beyond that. Yeah. So I like the music. The music was really pretty. I like French music because French, of course, is very pretty to listen to. But, the main character, the leading man... Yeah, Ismail. I don't think he sang very well.
Most of them didn't, I don't think. And, I don't know if that's something that's due to it being a French musical or if it's something specific to this film, but...
That would be funny if that was a French thing. Okay, we do musical, but everybody can sing. I think that was Italian accent. I'm sorry. Nobody can sing, but we have a lot of pizza and we have a good time. That's Borak, I think. I'm just getting more and more.
But, it almost seems as if they cast people more for their acting ability than their singing ability, and if they were good singers, that's great, but if not, we'll work with what you've got. Yeah. So you have a lot of, the main girl, Julie, who dies, Her singing is very, like, breathy. It's the type of singing that somebody does who's not really that good at singing, but they're trying to be good at it.
I thought in the beginning when she was alive,
and
she was singing, I thought, oh, not that great of a singer, but when she was supposed to be, when she was dead and it was kind of like spirit talking, I thought, oh, that singing style works really well for a character who's supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
But the girl who played the other woman in the relationship, Alice, she had a really beautiful voice.
It's kind of a mixed bag. Like, some of them are good, some of them are nah, but they tried to make it work. So, yeah.
So yeah, at the end of the first part, Julie dies just suddenly. It's not, dramatic or Korean.
I love that you describe it death as Korean.
Well, we both have a lot of history in Korean cinema. So yeah. No one got brain cancer. It wasn't very Korean. She just died. It was French. They're like, and she died. If it was Korean, it would have been like, oh my god, she had brain cancer and she got shot in the head and she has, lupus.
I think, didn't she have like a heart attack or something like that?
She had a blood clot.
Yeah, that was it.
So in the second part, it was kind of like, everybody dealing with the death, and there was an interesting scene where, well, I guess we should start before that, because is this French? I don't know. One of us should know more about French culture, because I think a lot of this conversation would be like, is that a French thing? When Julie was talking to her sister about, her relationship, her menage a trois, as they said, but her polyamorous relationship, she was, relatively open about it, and when her mom overheard it, I thought, oh, it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation, which it was a little bit, but her mom wasn't really shocked about it, and she wasn't really concerned or surprised that the other person was a woman, and she just kind of casually asked her, oh, have you been with a woman before? And she was more interested in, well, how do you guys all work it out?
Yeah. I don't necessarily know if that's a French thing. I think that may just be open mom thing. Like, if you have a mom that's, like, very open about things, and maybe you're not very open, but she's trying to pry you for information.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, it could be a French thing, I don't know, but to me it came off as sort of like a mom who's sort of like trying to be hip and cool, and she's like trying to like be a part of your life, and she's trying to act interested so that you will talk to her.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that leads into the second part, the scene I thought was interesting. She makes a point of finding Alice, the other woman in their relationship, so she can ask her how she's doing about the death and ask her to be there for the guy who's, like a son to her.
Yeah.
Even though they've never met. And she says at one point, you're part of the family, even though she knows that they were only together for like, a month.
Yeah.
So at first I was like, that's kind of uncomfortable, for her to say that, because of course this woman was only with her for like a month, and now you're part of a family.
Yeah, Alice, she seemed slightly uncomfortable that the mom was like, yeah, take care of him for me, and she seemed slightly uncomfortable. I think something interesting that I think somewhat tells you a little more about the relationship between Ismail, Julie, and Alice. Ismail and Alice work together, and like after Julie's dead, they're like at their office late at night, and it looks like Alice is basically trying to come on to Ismail and like work out her grief through sex, basically, but he like turns her down.
Yeah.
And I know originally it was just Ismail and Julie that were in a relationship, and then I think it was Ismail brought Alice into the relationship, and I remember at one point Julie was talking with I think her sister, and saying that she thought that Ismail was like trying to do things to make her break up with him so he wouldn't have to. So it seems as if it's like while they were in a relationship, Ismail didn't want to be fully committed to Julie, so that's why he brought in a third person. But then after Julie dies, it's like he realizes what he had with her and is sad that it's over. Like, I got that feeling.
Yeah. A big part of when they were together too, the two women were definitely really comfortable with the relationship with each other.
Yeah.
But Julie was really uncomfortable about Alice having any involvement with Ismail.
Yeah. Which is a bit hypocritical, but...
Yes, obviously. So she kept bring up her concerns that he wasn't. I mean, they use words like faithful, but of course that was during a song, so your wording choice, and it is what it is. But she was, really concerned that he would be sexual with the other woman, and yet when he would say, mention that, well, you're with her too, it was kind of like, well, that's okay.
Yeah, which, I don't know, maybe it's like, if Ismail has sex with another woman, then that's cheating because it's another woman. But if she has something with another woman, it's not cheating because it's not a guy.
Yeah.
I think it ties somewhat back into that mentality, which is really odd considering, like, you're still having sex with someone else, like.
Yeah, and it went beyond that, especially in the scene, one of the later scenes where he mentions, oh, you have a new ring, and she said, oh, Alice gave it to me. And he got jealous about that, and she was kind of like, well, why would you be jealous?
I think part of that is, like, because there's this whole big deal made where Ismail won't tell Julie that he loves her. Like, he won't say it, whereas she says it freely. She tells him that she loves him, but he won't say it to her. And I think that he probably does love her, but he doesn't want to say it. And so when Alice gives Julie a ring, he's worried that, if Alice is willing to tell Julie, oh, I love you, that Julie will go to whoever tells her that they love her, basically.
Yeah. So all that, their interactions like that, it kind of seemed like it was really belittling to the two girls' relationship. And it really struck me is that that's kind of how people see lesbian relationships. Like, oh, it happens. It's not, that big of a deal. A girl, can get over it. It's not that emotionally, striking as a relationship with a man is. We're more concerned with sexual relationships with two men or men and women. So I didn't know if they were commenting on that or if, it was just another product of that. Which either way, I mean.
I think also maybe possibly part of the reason why Julie didn't seem to, like, take the side of the relationship with Alice very seriously is because she was more in love with Ismail, and she was kind of just letting Alice be there to make him happy because she thought that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe part of the reason why she didn't necessarily take Alice's affections all that seriously. She was just kind of going along with it to make Ismail happy.
Yeah.
Which, again, is probably not the best thing to do, because you're going to end up hurting someone else, but Alice didn't really seem very, like, serious about it either. Like, when they went to that concert the night that Julie died, like, Alice was off talking to some guy, like she didn't even care,
Yeah, well, but again, also, it was like, when they finally said, oh, we've been together a month, I thought, oh, a month, well then, why, there's already trouble, you guys. Come on. But in the vein of how heterosexual, homosexual, lesbian versus gay relationships are seen, in the third part of the movie, Ismail ends up with a guy.
Yeah.
He falls in love with the guy, and there's a scene where Julie's sister comes into his house and sees the guy in his bed and gets upset. Presumably because she's also seen other women in his bed, and she thinks that he's working out his grief by just having sex, and she explicitly says it's a violent way to work out your grief, whereas that wasn't the situation. She came in not knowing what it was, that they were actually together at that point. And he gets mad and says, okay, call me whatever you want. You can call me a faggot if you want. And she gets mad and says, I wouldn't say that, and he just kind of walks off. And it seemed more like it was his big concern that that's the way he would be.
Yeah, I got that personally too, but I also think, like, a little earlier in the film when he hooks up with that
the bartender?
The bartender, yeah, I was trying to think of the word. It's like, she's not a waitress, what was she? Yeah, the bartender. When the sister, her name is Jan, I think, when she comes in and sees the girl there, she stays around thinking that the girl is Alice.
Yeah.
And even afterwards, when she figures out that the girl isn't Alice, she like raises an eyebrow, but she doesn't walk out like she did with the guy. So I think maybe that put Ismail a bit on the defense, and then he's like, oh, she's gonna think I'm this and I'm that, and somewhat. I think.
I understand that. I also understand how she would react that way, because I think I would do the same thing if I walked in and was like, oh, he's with the women. Oh, it must be Alice. And you sit down. Yeah. Oh, you're not Alice. Okay, well, I'll just get through this situation so it's not weird the next time you walk in. You're like, well, I know that person isn't Alice. She has a dick. So then you're just like, forget it. Just walk out. So I can get where she's coming from. I definitely get that he could have interpreted that way.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought was funny that what's the guy he ends up with name?
Erewhon.
Erewhon.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because they have this whole Erewhon's like, hits on him in the beginning and he really wants to be with them, and Ismail is like, no, and then okay, well, let's hook up. Okay, well, we fall in love. Well, the very first time they meet, Erewhon gives him his clothes, and he continues to wear throughout the rest of the movie to wear that specific sweater and other articles of his clothes. Yeah. Even when he's like, no, you need to leave me alone. Yeah. Don't ever see me again. It's like, well, you're wearing my clothes right now. Why not give back my clothes and then say that? At one point I thought, Erewhon needs to sit down with him and say, let's be honest. Are you with me because you want to be with me, or because we're the same size and you like my clothes?
I think part of Ismail continually saying, no, I don't want to be with you, I don't want anything with you, but continuing to wear Erewhon's clothes, I think was that he was sort of like in denial, like, because he had just recently lost Julie, and I think he was still processing that, and then on top of it, he's suddenly attracted to someone else, and it's got to be like, this is too soon, and I don't want to be in a relationship again where I could potentially lose someone like I lost Julie, and so I don't want to do it, but then against his will, it happens anyway.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's that scene at the very, very end where Ismail's, like, drunk, and Alice takes him to Erewhon's apartment, and Ismail's basically saying, I just want a warm body in my bed. And Erewhon's like, well, yeah, okay, I'll be that warm body, but you should know that I love you. And Ismail just keeps telling him, oh, shut up, don't say that, and all this stuff. And then it ends with them, like, you can tell with the look on Ismail's face that he's, like, really trying to convince himself that he doesn't have feelings for Erewhon, that it's just a physical relationship.
Yeah, the actual last line in the film.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I probably can't say it verbatim. It's something to the effect of, I want you to love me less, but love me a long time.
That's basically it. Love me less, but love me a long time. It apparently it was from a book of Jewish philosophy.
Oh.
But I think that sort of ties back into, like, Ismail's relationship with Julie, and probably what his relationship with Erewhon will be like, where he doesn't want you to have, like, this intense love, because that's going to burn out. He wants it to be slow and gradual to last a long time.
Yeah.
I think that ties back into why he would never tell Julie that he loves her, because if he told her that he loved her, then it would be this really intense thing, and he wanted it to be less intense so that it would last longer. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I can see that, especially the last song. So, yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I don't like musicals, but they weren't, dancing. Random people weren't joining in the song, so it wasn't, grating.
How would you rate it?
I would give it a 4. I would give it a 5 if the singing was a little better, maybe.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was good. I liked it. Okay. I gave you Malice in Wonderland.
Yes.
Which is a great title.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had thought of it, and I would have started a garage band, and we would have been called Malice in Wonderland. It's a British film where they, obviously recreate Alice in Wonderland. So what did you think of it?
I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
Oh, wait, I need to say why I gave it to you.
Yeah.
I gave it to you because I like fairy tales and classic children's stories retold. I'm really into that. I have like a big collection of books where they retell and kind of like do remixes on it. And that's one of my favorite movies because it's kind of like a cool alternative in that, West Coast sense of the word alternative, where it's not quite outsider, but almost there. It's kind of a punk rock, kind of pop. And I liked it. So what did you think?
I liked it too. Within the first few minutes, I recognized the female actress as the daughter from the Taken movies.
I had no idea if she was in anything before. I knew a lot of the British actors.
Yeah. And then, when I saw in the credits Danny Dyer, I was like, oh, Danny Dyer, I know who that is.
Yeah. The first time I saw it, like, the very first time I saw it, I must have missed tons of dialogue because I spent the whole time going, oh, I know that guy! He was in, oh god, what was he in?
I actually think it could have been a bit more surreal.
Yeah.
Like, when it first starts off, when Alice is running away from I guess they're bodyguards or something, like, all the weird, like, camera angles and stuff, that was pretty surreal to me. Like, and I thought it would keep up with that, but eventually it was kind of, the shooting style, the filming style, was fairly traditional, I thought. Like, the situations weren't, but the filming style was, and I think, like, they could have amped it up and made it even more surreal, because I've read the original, like, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, and those books are weird, okay? They're, like, WTF weird. So they really could have pushed this and made it really surreal. I guess maybe that wasn't their intention.
Well, the original story was written while Lewis Carroll was high on opium.
Yeah.
So maybe you would have gotten those weird camera angles in your mind if you had watched the movie on opium. The fault isn't with the producers or directors. It's with you. You watched it wrong.
But I thought, like, some of the clever things, like, Whitey, the cab driver, is the White Rabbit. Well, he's on his way to pick up a present for the Queen of Hearts, which is technically Harry.
Yeah.
Who I thought it's funny they made him, like, a gay gangster, so he's the queen.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very, oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed that. Like, so you've got, like, the White Rabbit, who in the original is, like, has that clock and he's like, oh, I'm late for a very important date.
Yeah.
So you have that as, like, the cab driver / mob boss lackey who's like, oh, I'm late for my boss's party. And then, like, you have that scene where Alice drives away in the semi truck with all the prostitutes in the back, and that's, like, stealing the tart.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Yes, it was very cool. Yeah, I guess looking back, a whole lot of the movie was oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. I did think it was really, I mean, maybe it was tying back into something that happened in the original book that I'm not remembering, but the scene where Alice, like, stops at that diner and they basically try to turn her into one of the prostitutes. I was like, how can they do that? Can't she just walk out and leave? Like, what? What is going on? She's not like she signed a contract.
Yeah, I thought that scene was a little confusing too. And like you, I was like, I'm trying to relate it back to the book, but I couldn't really.
I couldn't think of anything. The only thing that I could possibly come close to, and I don't even think this was in the book, I think it was in the Disney cartoon, where she encounters those flowers and they're like, oh, you've got strange petals, and
yeah.
Let us, like, prune you and make you look better, or stuff like that. But I don't really think that was I don't remember that being in the actual book. I think it was just in the Disney movie, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I want to say I think something like that was in the book, but Disney just gets in your head and you're not sure what was what was real and what wasn't.
Yeah. I kind of wish that Harry who's playing the role of basically the equivalent of the Queen of Hearts. Mm-hmm. I wish he had been a bit more, like, cuckoo bananas off his rocker, because the original Queen of Hearts was.
Yeah.
And while he definitely seemed powerful, he didn't have that, like, edge of insanity that the Queen of Hearts did.
Yeah.
So I think they could have made him a bit more volatile, a bit more crazy, a bit more on edge than they did,
Yeah.
I think that would have been better if they had made him a bit more, like, unhinged. But, and the part with the whole time that Whitey keeps saying that he bought Harry a tie.
Yeah.
And then he realized that it's, like, an actual tie person, not like a tie that you wear.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I was like, oh my god.
My favorite part of the movie, and it's so stupid, but it's like in the beginning where Whitey gets her something to eat,
mm-hmm.
and she's sitting there and she's eating, like, the street food or whatever, and he's going through her wallet and he finds like this vegan card and he shows it to her and she's just like, oh, and kind of looks down at her meat and then just, like, puts it aside, and it just struck me as so funny that she's like, oh, I guess I'm vegan, I guess I can't eat this. I was like, well, you were eating it before and you were fine with it. It was just struck me as so funny. It's stupid, but it struck me. Very, very funny.
one of the weaker parts of the movie for me, I think, and it's an interesting plot point, but they didn't explore it well enough or integrate it well enough, is why Alice was running in the first place.
Yeah.
Because she found out that her parents had basically bought her from someone when she was a baby. And hey, that's an interesting plot point, but I don't think that they really did a good job of like integrating it into the story. It kind of just felt like, oh, well, we're going to have Alice and she's going to be in Wonderland, but we don't really know what she's running from. We'll think about it later. And then they just kind of tacked it on at the end.
Yeah, it did seem that way, but I can understand if you were writing it, why you would make the decision to do that, because it would be kind of distracting from the Wonderland tale. And also you kind of do want that hook of, well, I want to keep watching because I want to know why she's running. And it made the ending a little bit more interesting because you didn't have any clues where you would have guessed it.
Yeah, but I also think, like, in the original Alice in Wonderland books, Alice's big thing is how she wants to grow up. She wants to be an adult. So that's part of her, like, Wonderland fever dream is because she wants to grow up. So that makes sense why, like, how in Wonderland, how she keeps growing bigger or smaller when she eats different things, and how in Through the Looking Glass, she, like, becomes a queen even though she's a little girl, but if you're a queen, that must mean you're mature, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But in the movie, it's like, what is she running away from other than some bodyguards? Like, I know at one point she briefly mentioned something about her parents wanting to marry her off to some, like, German billionaire or whatever. That makes sense why you're running away from that, but they basically reshift the focus away from that, and just, that's like a throwaway line, and they make it seem that the main reason she's running is because she found out that her parents bought her, which, again, is a decent reason to run, but I think the more logical reason for her to be trying to escape would be because she doesn't want to marry some random German stranger.
Yeah, I found that really confusing. It was like, so is her biggest concern that she was bought and sold, or was it that she doesn't like German people? Which, either way, I get it.
Hey, don't knock half of my ancestry.
Sorry, man. Sorry. I'm Scottish, so we don't like anybody. So, in the end, what would you rate it?
I'd go, like, 4 out of 5, yeah.
So, we're pretty even there on our scoring.
Like last time.
Yeah. I think we may have to start doing blind ballots or something. Because if I was like, no, you suck, I don't like your taste, 1 out of 5, I have a feeling you'd be like, well, fuck you, 1 out of 5. So for self-preservation, I have to be like, oh, it wasn't that bad.
I think part of the problem is that maybe some of our interests are a little too similar.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like, oh, well, I kind of like this, and maybe you will too, and then, so.
So, do you want to do, the squee and what the fuck?
Sure.
Okay, do you have anything on mind?
Oh, I did a couple days ago, but now I've forgotten what it was. Oh, no. Oh, okay. My WTF. RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh! What?
RuPaul's Drag Race. What? Why are they doing games? Like, are they crazy? I mean, I read somebody saying that, like, a new, like, regular season is supposed to start in January, so maybe that's why they did teams to get this All-Star season over with really fast.
Oh.
But that just seems wrong and unfair.
Yeah.
Pandora Box was robbed.
I agree completely. But like I told you before, I watch a lot of reality shows, and so I know when they do teams, they always split them up after a few episodes, and it's, tradition in RuPaul's Drag Race to bring back someone. So yeah. I really, really hope they bring back Pandora's Box. Yeah. She got screwed the first time around. I really think she did.
And I know, like, some people were saying how, that they didn't really feel sorry that she got kicked off because she had a bad attitude about being with Mimi. But
wouldn't you, though? Wouldn't you?
Yeah. Ugh. What's your WTF? I'll think about it, Squee.
My WTF, well, finally the summer event in Marvel ended, the Avengers vs. X-Men, and they had put out a spoiler that someone of importance was going to die at the end of this event. And so people were speculating, of course, it'll be Cyclops. And I was so sure it would be Cyclops because he was the super bad guy of this event and everybody wanted him dead and fans really don't like him anyway. As well as they had announced that they're doing like this time travel thing where they're bringing the original X-Men from the 70s into the present. So if Cyclops is still alive, that means there's going to be two Cyclops.
Two of him, yeah.
And that's double annoying than usual. But in the end, Charles Xavier ends up dying.
What?
Yeah. And Cyclops is the one that kills him. So not only does Cyclops not die, he kills Charles Xavier.
Oh.
I was so mad.
Oh my god.
Still so mad. And it was in this dramatic scene where Charles is trying to get through to him, and he's like in a different realm speaking to him, psychically. And in the physical realm, Cyclops puts down Magneto, so he's kind of like out of commission, and then he kills Charles Xavier. And it's like, okay, this is really emotional for my OTP here.
Yes!
It's super hard for me. But I keep reminding myself, okay, Charles has quote-unquote died lots of times, and Magneto always goes all weird apeshit and brings him back somehow. Like, there's lots of weird scenes with him bringing back. There's this one scene, I can't remember how he dies this one time, but you find that Magneto has, like, kept him in a basement in, like, this tube, and he's nude, and he's hooked up to, like, this breathing apparatus, and he's all pressed up against the glass, being like, "Oh, Charles, I miss you." So I'm hoping that we do that again.
They're basically, like, mortal enemies, yet they're saving each other? Like,
This is like my original OTP from, like, when I was a little kid, because I was really to X-Men. And when I was a little girl, because they really do have this odd relationship where they're enemies, but they don't really identify each other as an enemy. They always say, my best friend, and they always openly talk about how much they literally love each other. So when I was a little girl, I actually thought that they were together. I was really confused when I realized, they weren't supposed to have ever been together. I thought they had gotten divorced. I swear to God. So it's this whole first-class drama and people really getting into the two of them in the ship, and I keep thinking, you don't know how hard it is for me? Because when I was little, they were like my divorced dads. Literally were.
Aww.
I know. And now one of my dads is dead again. God.
Don't worry, the other one I'm sure has him locked in a basement in a tube naked.
I gotta hold on to that. I gotta believe. So what is your squee of the week?
Oh gosh. Okay, I guess I'll go with happy endings coming back. I love this show. I'm so happy it's back. But I'm not happy that it comes on the same time as Face Off. So
you have a DVR, don't you?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No.
What era do you live in?
I have digital cable and a nice LED TV, but I don't have a DVR.
That is so weird. So what do? Do you, like, record something on a VHS?
No, I have to either wait for a repeat to come on, or there's, like, a look-back feature where you can look back, like, for the past 2 or 3 days and watch something, or there's on-demand, but not every show gets put into on-demand or the look-back, so sometimes you have to go onto Hulu or just download it. I'm old school, yo.
That's barbaric. I don't know how you live. I don't watch anything when it comes on. Oh, I feel so bad for you. I feel like I'm talking to someone in Africa that I've been sending dollars to.
For $10 a month, I too can have a DVR.
I think I might do that for you. It's so sad. But you have to send me a picture each month of you standing next to it. With, like, a thumbs up, like, I'm doing okay. We're making it work. You have to have, like, a glass of water in your hand so I know that, the plumbing still works.
What's your squee?
My squee is, well, it's kind of sad, but it's happy too. Deadpool ended. Came to an end. But, it came to an end, but the 4th volume is going to be starting soon. With new writers and new artists. And finally, Daniel Way gave Deadpool back his immortality. And even though it was really sad because, poor Deadpool, he's always so sad. And he got shot in the head in the end, which is his life. It's just so his life. I'm very, very happy that he's immortal again. He's disfigured again. It's, Deadpool again, because good-looking guy that's mortal. I mean, how many times have we heard that story? I want the really ugly guy who's insane and likes to kill people, but also really likes Taco Bell, and also he can't die. I want that story.
I read I think it was you who posted it on Tumblr about, what if the reason that Deadpool's so, fat or whatever is because, he's transgender or transsexual and can't change his body because he would re-heal?
Yeah, I posted that. A big part of his problem is that he's disfigured and he can't do anything to change that, and he can't die, so he's eternally stuck in a really painful body that's really ugly and makes him feel alienated. And I thought, well, what if instead of it being ugly and alienated, it was, I feel stuck in my body because I'm a different gender and I can't change that.
But what if during this brief period of time where he was mortal again, if he got some sort of reassignment surgery, and then when the mortality wore off and he became immortal again, would his body slowly, redo itself to male, do you think?
See, well, here's where a continuity disconnect happens, and it happens a lot in Deadpool, so, it's just another one of those things we just have to put up with, because Daniel Way wrote it like this. He became cured, he got his mortality, and he became handsome again, but then he got burned in a fire a couple issues ago, and he retained his mortality. So that's his way of returning him to disfigured and yet mortal.
Yeah.
But with the relaunch of Volume 4, you can tell by the way he's drawn, because he has a very specific way that he looks with his scars and his scabs, that he isn't disfigured because of his burns. He's disfigured again because of his cancer. So the way Daniel Way would have it, if he did get a sex change, it would have stuck. But the way they're rebooting it with the Volume 4, it wouldn't have mattered. He would have gone back to being a man. That it kind of goes back to, well, what makes him regenerate, because I've gotten questions about that on what's the name of my blog? Spidey Poolverse.
You can't remember the name?
It's very long. About, well, if he did this, would it grow back if he, So it's like, well, if his regeneration is based on his DNA, I guess even if he did retain a female body, again, if he got hacked up and his body regenerated, if it was regenerated based on his DNA, he would grow a penis again, I guess.
Yeah. I think it would make an interesting story where if somebody, not necessarily Deadpool, but somebody that has the ability to where, say, if they get an arm hacked off and it regenerates itself, if they were somebody who wanted, a sex change, and they would get one, but then their body would slowly revert back to their original sex, so they'd have to continually keep getting these surgeries, that would be so sad and depressing, but interesting at the same time.
It would be incredibly painful. I think it'd be an interesting conversation of how much pain and effort do you want to go through to have your body really match what you feel like. But it
would make an interesting character, somebody who's that determined to continually put themselves through that just to achieve a few days, a few weeks of being how they want to be. Yeah. It would make an interesting character, I think.
I agree. I think it's a perfect question that a fanfic could answer. Hopefully someone will write this fanfic. We just need more Deadpool fanfic. More where he's not pretty, please. I tried to be diplomatic on Tumblr, but God, I hate good-looking Deadpool. He's not supposed to be good-looking.
Oh no, somebody needs to do a Beauty and the Beast fic, but make Deadpool the Beast.
I think there have been a couple, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I think they should make Peter the Beast. Jeez. Why can't Deadpool be pretty? He would put him in the Belle dress, because he'd wear it.
Oh, that's true.
The beastly part of Peter could be his hormones. It wasn't anything about looks, it's just God, sometimes he's just so annoying. It's all about him. He gets so grumpy and he won't get up in the morning.
Okay, so I guess that finishes the movies episode.
Well, it was fun. It was much easier than reading a goddamn book.
Yeah. I think next time we should do music, but that might be even more tricky, considering I really don't think our music taste is that different.
No, I don't think it is either. And what will we talk about? I like that line where he was like, I don't really know, because it was like in Thai, but... Like, I think the sociological implications of this Loaf song really speak to, you know, the transgender issue in Hong Kong.
If we do music, I think we would have to pick an artist that the other person hadn't really ever listened to, or if they had heard of them, they'd only heard like 1 or 2 songs. I think that'd be the only way you're going to get like an honest opinion.
I think that would be impossible, especially because we spent a good portion of our adult lives on the same forum creating songs.
I don't know. I think I could probably come up with some music artists that you haven't listened to or haven't heard many songs by.
Are you saying that I'm not cultured?
No.
Oh my god!
I'm not saying that.
I would make you listen to polka, and I hate polka.
Polka? You mean polka?
Oh god, now you're Polish too? Jeez! No matter who I hit up, you identify as. So I guess with that, that's the end of our episode. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.